Hello everybody, my name is Kyle9. Welcome back to another video. Today in this one, I want to talk to you about Valiant Smashers. This is the newest Yu-Gi-Oh set that will be released later this week, and it's looking rough, folks. It probably doesn't help that it has to follow up on not only Age of Overlord, but the 25th anniversary collection as well. You know, the two best sets of the entire year, so that's not doing it any favors whatsoever. But I want to look at Valiant Smashers as a competitive standpoint. Is its three main archetypes inside the Valiant Smashers actually going to change the meta? And those three archetypes being Centurion, Memento, and Valmonica. Today we're talking about Valmonica. Valmonica's main gimmick is to basically get their monsters into the pendulum scales, and they'll basically act as, you know, angel in one shoulder, demon in another shoulder, and one will like when you gain life points, one will like when you lose life points, and then they'll gain resonance counters if you do what they like, and those resonance counters will help you access their extra deck monsters, and their spell traps basically revolve around either gaining or losing life points to do an effect. So yeah, disclaimer here, I'm going to cover all the cards in the archetype. If you already know what the cards are, I will put a timestamp right now on screen where you can skip to the combo / my thoughts on the deck, so you don't have to cover that. But if you don't know what the cards are, this is what this section is for, to show you what the cards actually do. Another thing is I'm terrible at English. I'm probably going to mispronounce a lot of what these cards English is, just because I'm terrible at English. So without further ado, let's get into the to the actual cards. We'll start off with their monster cards. We'll start off with Yugioh Valmonica, which is a dark level 4 fairy monster with a 3 scale. Its pendulum effect is while you have a fiend monster card in the other pendulum zone, each time you gain life points, place one's resistance counter on this card, and then once per turn, when your opponent monster declares an attack, you can immediately after this effect resolves, link summon one Valmonica monster. And then its monster effect is if this card is in your hand, you can discard one other card from your hand to the graveyard, place this card and one Demony Valmonica into the pendulum scales, and that Demony must be coming from the deck. And during the main phase, if this card was normal or special summon, you get to banish a Valmonica normal spell trap. This card apply the spell trap's effect that includes gaining life points to this card. So basically this card will not only access you to both pendulum scales if it's in hand, if it's normal or special, it will be able to banish a Valmonica spell trap from the graveyard to apply the gain effect of that spell trap to itself. And as a pendulum of scale, if your opponent declares an attack, you can link summon into one of the Valmonica extra deck monsters. Very decent card overall. Next card up is Demony Valmonica. This is a light level 4 fiend monster with a scale 5. While it's in the pendulum zone, while you control a fairy monster in your other pendulum zone, each time you take effect damage, you must place one resonance counter on this card. And then monsters your opponent controls loses 100 attack for each resonance counter on the field. And then its monster effect is basically the same thing as Yugioh, but instead of gaining, you take effect. So it has the same effect. If this card's in your hand, you can discard another card to place this and Yugioh Valmonica into the pendulum scales. And if it was normal or special summon this turn, you can banish a Valmonica spell trap to apply the burn effect to Demony Valmonica. So basically the same thing as Yugioh Valmonica, where it can place itself into the pendulum scale and place the other one in the other pendulum scale if it's in hand. And then you can banish a Valmonica spell trap to apply the burn damage instead of the gain as well. And then its pendulum effect, instead of link summoning, your opponent loses 100 attack for each counter or resonance counter on the field. So very okay cards. Now let's get to the actual spell traps in the deck. We'll start off with the field spell, Angelic Dimenicis Lector Valmonica. When this card is activated, you can add a Valmonica monster from your deck to your hand. If a third resonance counter is placed on a card in your pendulum zone, you can target a monster your opponent controls, take control of it until the end phase, but it cannot declare an attack, and you can only use each effect once per turn. Now, this is just the Rhoda of the archetype. Very, very good to have. It's also a snatch steal as well, because it's not too hard to get 3 resonance counters as well, so that's not a bad effect as well. Very good card overall. Next thing up here, we got Valmonica Selecta. Don't know how to pronounce that one. So you can apply one of these effects, or if your opponent chooses, if you don't have a Valmonica card in your Pendulum Zone. So you can either gain 500 of life points, then you place one card from your hand to the bottom of the deck, then draw 2 cards, or you can take 500 damage, then add a Valmonica spell trap from your deck to your hand. So it's either a, draw 2 by bottoming a card from deck or from your hand to the bottom of the deck, or you can search any Valmonica spell trap as well. So overall, because they're both are good effects. Either to search a spell trap or to draw 2 cards is always going to be nice to have in an archetype. Very, very good to have in this archetype. Next thing up here, we have Valmonica Versari. Again, terrible at English. So as the same thing, you can apply one of these effects, or if you don't have a Valmonica Pendulum Zone or a Valmonica card in your Pendulum Zone, your opponent gets to choose which one. So you can either gain 500 life points, then you can activate the top card of the deck until you activate a Valmonica card. And if you do, add that card to hand, then shuffle the rest back into the deck. Or you can take 500 damage and then just send a Valmonica card from deck to graveyard. So again, very decent card. You can either, gain 5 mil until you get into a Valmonica card, add that card to hand, and then shuffle the rest back to the deck. Or you can just Foolish Burial a Valmonica card, which is very nice, again, because the monsters can copy effects in graveyard. So just being able to mill a card that you don't have in rotation yet is always going to be nice. So very decent card as well. And then the last spell that we have here is Valmonica Intonari. Again, probably mispronouncing it. Again, it has the same effect where you can apply one of these effects, but if you don't have a Pendulum a Valmonica card in the Pendulum Zone, your opponent gets to choose. So you can either gain 500 life points, then if you have a monster in your graveyard that can be special summoned, your opponent chooses one of them for you to special summon. Or you can take 500 damage, then you can add a level 4 monster from your graveyard back to your hand. So overall, it's okay, it's decent. It's either a reborn that your opponent gets to choose. The reborn is kind of the unfortunate part about that. Or you can add back any level 4 monster from your graveyard back to your hand. Not the greatest in the world, but probably we'll see some at play. Maybe as like a one of in the deck. Now on to the trap cards in the Valmonica archetype. We'll start off with Valmonica, the Guiding Rhythm. If you control a Valmonica monster card, apply one of these effects, or if you control a Valmonica Link monster, you can apply both in sequence. So you can gain 500 life points, then you can destroy a spell trap on the field, or you can take 500 damage, then you can return one monster on the field back to the hand. Very insane card. This card does so much. It's either a spell trap destruction, which is, relevant in this format, or it's a compulse, which is very nice as well. Or if you have a Valmonica Link monster, you get both of those effects. So very, very good card overall. Next trap card is Valmonica, the Selecting Melody. Again, if you control a Valmonica monster card, apply one of these effects, or if you control a Valmonica Link monster, you can apply both in sequence. You can gain 500 life points. Also, your opponent cannot target Valmonica monster cards you control with card effects this turn. And then you can take 500 damage. Then you can negate the effects of one effect monster your opponent controls until the end of the turn. So it's not the best one. I think the other trap is just a little better, but it's an imperm, which is always going to be nice for an archetype to have. That's it for the main deck. Now let's get into the extra deck. We'll start off with Divine Oddity of Valmonica Zebraphia. Probably again mispronouncing that. So this, all it requires is one effect monster to go into, but you cannot link summon this card unless you have a Fiend monster card with 3 or more resonance counters in your Pendulum Zone. So it kind of makes it fair there. So you can only special summon one of this once per turn. If a card you control would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can remove 3 resonance counters from your Pendulum Zones instead. And then once per opponent's turn, quick effect, target a Valmonica normal spell trap that is banished or in your graveyard. Apply that spell trap effect when that card is activated. So a very, very good card overall, because again, it's one of those copy effects, but it's pretty good as well because you can banish or copy from the banished area as well. So again, being able to, because only the pendulum ones can only copy from the graveyard, while this link can copy from the banished as well. So very, very good card in the archetype. And the other last card in the archetype is Odd Deity of the Valmonica Gramarye. Grimmer. We're going to go with that. It's a little dark in here. I'm trying to speed up here. Target effect monster, it requires one effect monster to go into, just like the last one, but it cannot be linked summoned unless you have a fairy monster card with 3 or more resonance counters in your pendulum zone. You can only special summon one of it once per turn. If this card is link summoned, you can target monster cards your opponent controls up to the number of resonance counters in your pendulum zones, destroy them. So on summon, it's a remove 3. So very insane there. Then you can remove 3 resonance counters from a pendulum zone. This card can make it a second and third attack during each battle phase this turn. So very good card, especially if you're able to link summon during your opponent's turn as well. A pop 3 is always going to be nice. So very, very good card to have. So that is the monster cards. Now let's get into the combo, shall we? Sorry about it getting a little dark in here. I did turn on the light, but I can see in the camera we're still a little dark. So I do apologize for that. I'm recording this a little late in the night. But, so what is this deck actually trying to do competitively? Well, let's show you the combo, shall we? So all you really need is Dominion, Selectia, a discard, in this case will be Ash, and we'll show off the tuning as well. We'll show off the Assault package, which you can be playing in this deck as well. So without further ado, let's show you the combo. So we'll go ahead and start off with the DOME to discard the Ash to place both of our skills. Then we'll go Selectia effect. We'll take 500 damage to search the field spell from deck to hand. I'll place a counter on Demone in the pendulum scales. We'll activate the field spell to search out another Demone Valmonica. We'll normal summon it, effect banishing this Selectia to search out another spell trap. We'll take the 500 again. We'll search Valmonica of the Guiding Rhythm here. We'll place another counter on the Demone. Then we'll go tuning effect to search out Assault, and then we'll mill a card. We'll mill one of the spell traps, which is nice, but we don't really need it right now. We'll go effective Assault to special, taking 700. This will place the third counter on Demone, because Demone doesn't care how you take damage, as long as you did take damage. So we'll put the third counter. We'll go into a Synchro into the new Manadium Synchro 6 here, special summon out Assault, and then we will link into the Vicious the Vsauce Synchro 8 to let's search any spell trap that mentions a Visa Starfrost. We'll search Manadium Reframing here to get as a counter trap. Then we'll pendulum summon back out the Demone from the extra deck. Then we will just immediately link off into the extra deck Zeobraffry here, and we'll set 2. And then this is basically our end board here. We'll go end phase. Our interruptions here is, well, we have a counter trap, so it's always something, right? Because we have the Synchro on the field. And then we have the guiding to pop a spell trap and compulse, since we control the link monster. And then Zeobraffry can again just copy the effect of the spell trap in graveyard once again to get that effect again, where you can pop a spell trap and you can compulse another monster as well. So yeah, that is the combo there. So now let's get into my opinions on the deck. So what is my opinion on Valmonica? Well, it's not good. It's really not that good, to be honest with you. It was kind of hard. This was the hardest one for me to actually do, because I was just trying to find the combos for it. It doesn't do anything by itself is the problem. It feels like this deck has to rely on other stuff for it to actually do something. Like in the combo, I showed you off the tuning package with Assault Synchron and stuff like that. I feel like the engine by itself just doesn't do anything, and you need a lot of cards to get into, right? Because not only do you need to open up the scales itself, but then you have to open up the another pendulum monster so you can normal summon it and still get those effects going, right? Like, it just doesn't seem that good. It really doesn't seem that good. It can't run that many hand traps in the deck, just because you need to be running up on a lot of burn cards, because burning is the better option when it comes to Valmonica, just because the burns actually do a lot more than what the gaining does. The gaining doesn't really do that much. It's not that great. I think it's the worst of the 3 archetypes out of Valiant Smashers. It's really hard to say. If you do like this deck, I understand that. It's a very fun deck to kind of play around with, but like as a competitive standpoint, it's not going to do much. It doesn't really have any game going second, just because if your opponent can interrupt your pendulum scales, all of a sudden you're kind of in a fucked position, right? So my opinions on it is it's just not that great. Honestly, I just don't think this is that good of an archetype, and I don't know how you fix it as well, because like, what do you give it that would fix it? Like, that's my thing, right? Maybe you give it like another monster that does something, but that doesn't seem great. Maybe you give it another spell trap that searches, but you already have a spell trap that searches. right? So it's like, I don't know what you really give this archetype. I truly don't know how you fix it. I just don't think it's that good of an archetype. And hey, every archetype doesn't need to be, you know, tier 1 meta potential kind of things. I'm not saying that. But if you're trying to play this as a competitive deck, I just don't think you can. I don't think this deck is really that great for that. So yeah, those are my opinions on Valmonica. Thank you for watching the video. If you do have a different opinion, let me know down in the comment section down below. And I hope to see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.